The stars shifted slowly across the black canvas of space, but deep in the heart of the Androgalax cluster, one empire moved faster than light, faster than fear: the Zorkai predators. For thousands of years, they had ruled through terror. Worlds crumbled before their war fleets. Their soldiers were bred not for peace, but for dominance. The Zorkai believed no species could match their strength. No one ever had. And so, when a new planet called Earth appeared in galactic scans, tiny, distant, and unknown, they didn't hesitate. From his throne aboard the flagship Bloodfang, Overlord Varnock Threx studied the holograms. Images of green forests, blue oceans, and strange two-legged beings filled the room. "Primitive," he muttered. "Soft. They will scream before they kneel." His generals laughed. To them this was not war. It was a ritual hunt. But Earth was not their first target. The outpost on Dravos 9, a jungle-covered planet where humans had set up a small research facility, was easier prey. Isolated, lightly defended, perfect for a quick strike. "Begin the sweep," Varnock ordered. Hundreds of Zorkai warships jumped into orbit above Dravos 9. Far below, in a concrete command bunker surrounded by thick jungle, Commander Rhea Cade checked the skies. Her visor flickered with static, but the red alerts were clear. The outpost had been spotted. A fleet was descending fast. "Get everyone to the shelter now," she shouted. Technicians scrambled. Soldiers loaded rifles. Scientists packed data cores. Panic filled the air. The communications array had gone dead a day ago. No help was coming. Rhea slammed her fist into the table. Of all the damn days, she had 30 soldiers. Maybe. And most were fresh recruits. The rest of the base was scientists and engineers. Not fighters, but giving up was never an option. She looked at her second-in-command, a tall man named Briggs. "How fast can we clear this place?" "Not fast enough," he said. "They're landing in minutes." The ground shook. Explosions lit the sky. Ships screamed down through the clouds like flaming daggers. Zorkai soldiers, towering beasts with armor like black stone and glowing red eyes, marched through fire. They tore through human defense lines with brutal ease. Screams echoed in the distance. Rhea grabbed her rifle and turned to the few survivors. "We fall back into the jungle. If they want to hunt us, let's make it difficult." As night fell, the fires of the human base burned behind them. Rhea and a group of 15 survivors disappeared into the thick undergrowth. The air was hot. The sounds of alien creatures echoed around them, but no one spoke. They were all thinking the same thing. Earth had been found, and the galaxy had sent monsters. Back on his ship, Varnock surveyed the smoldering ruins of the outpost. "Pathetic," he said. "They run like prey. We will find them. We will break them." But he didn't know it yet. He hadn't broken Rhea Cade, and he had just stepped into a jungle war. Thick vines clung to Commander Rhea Cade's boots as she led her group deeper into the jungle. The air was hot and damp. Strange alien birds shrieked in the distance. The group moved in silence, tired, dirty, and shaken. Behind them, the human outpost was nothing but ash and twisted metal. 15 survivors. No contact with Earth, surrounded by enemies. Rhea crouched near a fallen log and raised her hand to stop the group. She scanned the trees, then turned to Briggs. "They'll send scouts. Maybe tonight. We need traps. Fast." Briggs nodded. "We can rig some blast charges. Use the fuel cells from the broken drone units." A young private, Ellis, spoke up. "Commander, do you really think we can survive out here?" Rhea didn't lie. She looked him straight in the eye. "Not if we run, but if we make them bleed. Yes, we survive." Ellis nodded, swallowing hard. That night, they built their first perimeter. They used branches, sensor nodes, and reprogrammed field drones. Briggs buried a charge beneath a shallow patch of mud. Rhea sharpened jungle spikes and set them under leaves. They couldn't win a battle, but they could start a war. The next day, Zorkai scouts entered the jungle. Two squads moved slowly, scanning heat signatures, marking paths. They were confident, laughing. Then the first trap exploded. Two Zorkai soldiers vanished in a ball of flame. Their armor melted. Another fell into a spiked pit. The last one ran only to be caught in a snare, rigged with human razor wire. Rhea and her team watched from the trees. Not a single shot fired. The jungle did the work. She turned to her team. That's one squad down. No noise, no mercy. Back on the orbiting warship Bloodfang, Overlord Varnock stood before a hologram showing flashing red alerts. His second-in-command growled. Unit Zeta 14 lost contact. No bodies recovered. Varnock scowled. They hide in dirt and shadows. Fine, we flush them out. He ordered flame units to descend and burn the jungle section by section. Smoke filled the skies as parts of the jungle caught fire. Rhea's team moved quickly, using underground cave paths and the thickest parts of the forest to stay ahead. They set more traps and learned the patterns of the Zorkai. The soldiers were strong, but predictable. They followed orders blindly. Rhea used that. They rigged a fake heat signature using a broken android wrapped in a heat blanket. When the Zorkai squad approached, it triggered an EMP trap and blew out their suits. Rhea's team attacked in the chaos, quick and brutal. 4 more enemy bodies lay on the jungle floor. This time, Rhea spoke into a captured Zorkai helmet and activated the translator. You thought we were prey. Keep coming. We'll show you what hunters really look like. Then she smashed the helmet under her boot. That night, around a small fire deep in a hidden cave, their food was dry, their water filtered from jungle leaves. But their spirits were different now. Briggs looked over at Rhea. You really believe we can win this? Rhea stared into the fire. Her eyes were sharp, focused. No, we don't win. Not yet. But we make them fear us. Silence fell again. Outside, thunder rolled across the dark sky. The hunters were coming. But this jungle had new rules. The jungle had turned silent. Even the alien creatures had started to hide. Something had changed. The Zorkai were no longer hunting. They were being hunted. Commander Rhea Cade stood on a tree branch, hidden behind thick leaves. Below her, 3 Zorkai soldiers moved carefully through the undergrowth. Their heavy steps crushed plants. Their armor gleamed under the weak sunlight that slipped through the canopy. Rhea raised her hand. Briggs, lying in the bushes with a remote detonator, nodded. Click. A sudden burst of light and heat ripped through the trees. The first 2 soldiers were thrown backward, their bodies crumpling. The third staggered, dazed. Rhea dropped silently from the branch and landed behind him. One clean shot. The alien dropped to the dirt without a sound. The rest of her team emerged from cover. Ellis, still breathing hard, asked, "Why aren't they sending more? They're stronger than us." "They're stronger," Rhea said, reloading her weapon. "But they've never fought like this. They don't know what fear feels like." High above the planet, on the command deck of Bloodfang, Overlord Varnock slammed his fist against a control panel. Sparks flew. 9 squads. Gone. No survivors. No signals. His war council stood in silence. Fear was not something they showed. But the room was colder now. "They fight like beasts," one commander said. "They vanish, strike, then disappear again." "They're not beasts," Varnock growled. "They are something worse. They are desperate." He turned to his science officer. "Send down seeker units. Heat detection. Aerial sweep. I want every rock turned. Every hole burned, back on the surface." Rhea's team kept moving. Their bodies were tired. Skin scratched. Some had fevers from jungle bites. But they didn't stop. They set more traps. They collected Zorkai weapons and learned how to modify them. Briggs worked on combining human battery packs with alien rifles. The results were unstable, but deadly. In one ambush, the team lured 5 Zorkai into a narrow canyon. When the enemy was trapped, Rhea triggered a landslide. Boulders crushed the squad. They painted warnings on the rocks using alien blood. This jungle belongs to Earth, but victory had a price. During a night mission, a younger soldier named Tariq triggered a motion mine left by the enemy. The explosion shook the trees. Rhea found him barely alive, his leg gone. He looked up at her, gasping, "Don't let them win." She held his hand until he stopped breathing. The next morning, no one spoke. They buried him under a tree with jungle flowers on the grave. That night, Rhea stood alone by the edge of a cliff. The wind whipped through her hair. Briggs joined her. "We're losing people. I know. We can't keep this up forever." "I know that too," she said quietly. "But every day we survive, we remind them they're not gods. They bleed. They die." The next ambush was bold. Rhea's team infiltrated an enemy drop site. Using stolen codes and cloaking devices made from Zorkai suits, they got close, too close. Briggs hacked into a supply drone. It carried high-energy plasma fuel. They overloaded it. The explosion lit the sky for miles. 20 Zorkai soldiers were vaporized. The humans escaped into the forest, hearts pounding, smoke behind them. Rhea's message was clear. This wasn't resistance. This was a reckoning. The jungle burned in patches. Smoke curled into the sky. Trees stood blackened and broken. Zorkai flame units had scorched large areas of Dravos 9, hoping to flush out the humans. But Commander Rhea Cade was still alive, and still striking. Overlord Varnock Threx stared down at the chaos from the deck of his lander. His blood-red armor gleamed, and his heavy boots echoed across the metal floor. "Enough," he said. "I will go down myself." His warlords looked at him, unsure. A few shifted uncomfortably. "But my lord, the humans are insects." Varnock cut him off. "And insects must be crushed under the heel." He boarded a shuttle with his elite guard, 12 of the most feared Zorkai assassins. Each one had ended dozens of wars. Each one wore trophies from past kills. They landed on Dravos 9 under cover of night. Deep in the jungle, Rhea and her team were preparing. They had seen the new landing. The readings were different, heavier, more focused. Rhea studied the scans. "That's him," she said. "Varnock. He's coming." Briggs leaned over the map. "And he's bringing his best." "Then we give them our worst," Rhea replied. "We take them to the ruins." The old ruins were part of an abandoned alien site buried beneath the jungle centuries ago. The terrain was uneven, filled with broken stone and overgrown roots. Rhea had visited it before the invasion. It was unstable, forgotten, and perfect for a trap. The team moved fast. They set traps, reprogrammed Zorkai drones, and rigged the ancient ruins with charges. They dug into the ground and used every scrap of tech they had left. They weren't planning to run anymore. This time they were making their stand. Varnock's squad moved through the jungle with precision, silent, no mistakes. They were trained to kill anything, but the jungle felt different now, colder. The trees didn't whisper anymore. The shadows were deeper. Suddenly the lead soldier stepped onto a trigger plate. A sharp hum filled the air. Then boom, a net of electric vines snapped up from the ground, slamming him into a stone pillar. His armor short-circuited. Sparks flew. He didn't get back up. The rest raised weapons, forming a tight circle. But Rhea's team didn't attack directly. They waited. 2 more guards fell into spike pits. Another was shot by a sniper hidden high in a twisted tree. Tonic began to show in their eyes. Varnock snarled, "Cowards, show yourselves." His voice echoed through a stolen helmet lying at his feet. "Calm, steady. We are everywhere, Varnock. And we're watching." He crushed the helmet under his boot. Night fell quickly. In the ruins, Rhea set the final detonators and gathered her team. "This is it," she said. "We draw them in. We hit hard. And if we don't make it, they don't either." Briggs handed her a backup detonator. "Let's make sure of it." Then the battle began. Varnock stormed the ruins with what was left of his guards. Lasers flashed. Traps exploded. Smoke filled the halls. The old stones shook with the impact of war. Rhea's team struck from all sides. They moved fast, using cover, luring the enemy deeper inside. One by one the elite Sorkai guards fell, some to weapons, some to traps, some to the jungle itself. Finally, only Varnock was left, and Rhea was waiting for him. They stood across from each other in the heart of the ruins, cracked stone between them, fire behind them. "You are strong," Varnock admitted. "For prey." Rhea raised her weapon. "You talk too much." Then they charged. His blade struck first, fast and brutal. She dodged, rolled, fired, missed. He swung again. Her armor cracked. Pain shot through her side. But she didn't stop. She stabbed him with a stolen Sorkai dagger, then dropped a grenade at his feet. He kicked it away. Too slow. Boom. They were both thrown back. Dust filled the air. Rhea lay bleeding. Varnock struggled to rise. She crawled toward him, weak, hurt, but still alive. And he was not ready for what she did next. She pressed a final charge, directly to his armor's power core. "Goodbye, Varnock," she whispered. The explosion lit the jungle for miles. Smoke hung low over the jungle. Ash rained like black snow. The explosion at the ruins had shaken the earth, scattering birds and beasts into the night. And at the center of it all, Commander Rhea Cade lay still among broken stones and burning vines. Her ears rang. Her vision blurred. Her body ached from the blast. But she was alive. She coughed, forcing herself to sit up. Her armor was cracked. Blood dripped down her arm. But in front of her, lying motionless under a pile of shattered debris, was Overlord Varnock Threx. His armor sparked and hissed. Half his helmet was gone, revealing scorched gray skin beneath. One eye glowed dimly, blinking slowly. Rhea dragged herself forward, groaning with every breath. She picked up a fallen alien blade and held it steady, despite her shaking hands. Varnock coughed, a deep, growling sound. He tried to lift himself, but his body wouldn't respond. "You should not be alive," he rasped. Rhea leaned closer. "That's what everyone keeps saying." With one final push, she drove the blade into the Zorkai warlord's chest. His eye flared wide, then dimmed to black. Overlord Varnock, conqueror of 1,000 worlds, was dead. Around the jungle, the last of the Zorkai forces panicked. Without orders, they fell into confusion. Their elite had been wiped out. Their strongest leader was gone. What was left were scattered squads, exhausted and afraid. Briggs, leading a small group of survivors, intercepted emergency chatter on stolen comms. "They're retreating," he said, stunned. "They're pulling out." A cheer went up among the soldiers. The sound echoed through the ruined jungle like thunder. Humanity had done what no other species ever had. They had made the Zorkai run. Hours later, Rhea was carried back to camp, her wounds patched and her body wrapped in thermal gear. She refused to be taken off the battlefield until every survivor was counted. 15 had grown to 23, thanks to trapped Zorkai camps being retaken and small rescue efforts. They were bloodied, bruised and changed, but alive. As the sun rose over Dravos 9, the jungle was quiet again. Not from fear, but from peace. On the Bloodfang, orbiting above, Zorkai officers argued. "There is no leader, no plan. We should launch orbital strikes, wipe the jungle clean." But no one moved. Without Varnock, there was no courage, only fear, and fear made the Zorkai do something unthinkable. They left. The warships disengaged and jumped to hyperspace, leaving their dead behind. The mighty Zorkai, the terror of the galaxy, had been defeated by a single human outpost, not by numbers, not by power, but by grit, fury and stubborn will. In the center of the human camp, Rhea stood with a bandaged shoulder and blood-stained armor. She held up a Zorkai helmet, dented and blackened. She looked at her team, tired, dirty, smiling. "We're not prey," she said. "We never were." Then she turned toward the jungle and whispered, "And now the galaxy knows it." The sun rose over Dravos 9, cutting through the smoke. Orange light touched the blackened trees and burned out craters. The jungle was silent again. but not because of death. Because the war was over. Commander Rhea Cade stood on a ridge overlooking the ruins. Her armor was scratched, her shoulder in a sling, and her face lined with exhaustion. But her eyes were clear. Around her, small groups of survivors worked. Some were rebuilding shelters, others were burying the dead. A few just sat quietly, staring at the sky, waiting for the next order or the next sunrise. They weren't just survivors anymore. They were legends. On the other side of the galaxy, in the heart of Zorkai space, the news spread like wildfire. Overlord Varnock Threx, dead. A Zorkai invasion force, defeated by humans. For the first time in Zorkai history, their warriors had retreated, the mighty had bled, and the so-called prey species had left a scar the galaxy would not forget. In council chambers and war rooms across dozens of worlds, species that once feared the Zorkai began to talk in whispers. Who are the humans? What else are they capable of? They made the hunters run. Fear shifted. The old power was shaking. A new force had entered the galactic stage. Back on Dravos 9, Earth finally made contact. A Terran fleet arrived in orbit, dropping aid, medics, and communication gear. The survivors were taken aboard for treatment and debriefing. Still, Rhea stayed behind a little longer. She walked through the jungle trail one last time, past the crater where Varnock fell, past the cave where they had hidden and planned, past the graves of those who didn't make it home. Each place told a story. Each step was heavy, but proud. Briggs walked beside her, holding a portable transmitter. "Command wants a final message," he said. Rhea nodded. She took the device, cleared her throat, and pressed record. Rhea Cade's final transmission. "This is Commander Rhea Cade, Dravos 9 outpost. The enemy came here thinking we were weak. They sent everything they had, ships, soldiers, monsters, and we're still here. We lost friends, we bled, but we stood our ground. They thought we would break, but humans don't break. We adapt, we fight, and when the time comes, we strike back. Tell the galaxy, we are not the hunted. We are the storm." As the transmission ended, silence followed. Not from fear, but respect. Rhea turned, the wind brushing her face. Above her, the stars waited.